Hello, leaders of the world. Welcome to Spread Love in Organizations, a podcast for purpose-driven healthcare leaders striving to make life better around the world by leading their teams with genuine care, servant leadership, and love. I'm Naji, your host for this podcast, joined today by Cathy Nolan, an experienced international business executive. Cathy has spent over 23 years in the pharma and biotech industry, including Eli Lilly and most recently, Aimmune Therapeutics. As a leader, she consistently created value by building and developing diverse talents teams globally and delivering highly successful launches and growth strategies in big pharma, niche, and non-conventional biotechs. She has extensive experience across US, UK, and Europe, including multiple launches in neuroscience, oncology, and immunology. Cathy is from a large Irish family and grew up on a farm in the west of Ireland. She likes spending her time with her family and friends, stay fit and active, read and watch movies. It's such an immense pleasure and honor to have you, Cathy, with me today.
Thank you, Naji. Nice to see you.
And I think we're live from Twickenham, I believe, west of London.
Yes,
Awesome.
I live in Twickenham, southwest London. Yes, you are.
Cathy, we would love to hear your story, your personal story from Ireland to leading global healthcare teams. What's in between the lines of such an inspiring journey?
Well, thanks, Naji. I have a very humble story, I would say, in some respects. I started off, as you read out in the intro, I grew up in the west of Ireland on a farm, the oldest of 5 kids, 4 girls and a boy. And then when I went to university, I studied business and really had gained a passion for marketing, I think, from the very beginning when I started to study marketing as part of my business degree. And then I think what really drove me in terms of joining the pharmaceutical industry in Dublin with Lilly was really that kind of passion for understanding people and patients and their experiences with conditions. I joined Lilly on the schizophrenia Zyprexa brand team. And what fascinated me about Zyprexa and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder was the experience that patients go through. And I was really drawn to that, to understanding that in more detail, and then understanding how medicines can make a difference and change the lives of people who are suffering with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and other mental health conditions. So that started my journey, and I joined Eli Lilly in Dublin and spent 5 years there, really getting to know the pharmaceutical industry, I would say, and really loving and thriving in that industry. And then I took a career break for 6 months and went traveling by myself and, took advantage of getting a career break from Lilly to really explore the world a little, and then came back to Eli Lilly in the UK and then was involved in various other brands in psychiatry. And then moving on beyond that to Indianapolis with my husband, who I met at Lilly. And so we headed off to Indianapolis and then had an amazing experience in the corporate center. I think from a career perspective, that was a real milestone moment, going to the corporate headquarters and being part of, the nerve engine, I would say, for the organization, and really getting a sense of how great an organization Eli Lilly is and the different opportunities that there were to grow and stretch and develop, both professionally and personally within the organization. So I got many opportunities in Lilly in Indianapolis, leading brands, global brand director roles, and then working with the chief marketing officer, Rob Brown, at the time as his chief of staff, which really, again, was an eye-opening experience looking at the organization as a whole and working with some of the more senior leaders within the organization and addressing board questions, etc., and working with Rob on that. Then we had 2 boys, Lorcan and Cormac. They were both born in Indianapolis. And we decided to move back to Europe to be near family as we were raising our boys and wanted to be closer. So we moved back, and then I was doing some leadership roles in Europe, in oncology, and then ultimately back to the UK business, heading up the business unit for the specialty portfolio and the chief marketing officer role, where we worked together closely when you were in France. I loved Lilly and I had an amazing experience there and thrived, I would say, and grew up with the company. But after 19 years, I just wanted to try something new and different and challenge myself in other ways, and decided to move to another opportunity within a small organization. So going from the big Pharma to small pharma and joining a biotech called Aimmune Therapeutics. I had an opportunity to lead global marketing and commercial capabilities from London. The business was based in Brisbane, California, so it was a real unique opportunity to do that. So I took the opportunity, and then we were acquired by Nestle a year later. So we had another amazing experience of going through the acquisition and the integration and building the global organization, and really learning so much across multiple areas and building my expertise and capabilities. So yeah, and I've felt very fortunate, Naji, over the years. I've had lots of really strong mentors and advocates, to be honest, who really pushed me to kind of think bigger than, or go further than I thought I could. And with their backing, get me the confidence to just go for it. And usually it ended up in success. So yeah, that's kind of my journey thus far.
Thanks for sharing this. It certainly did go into success, and yeah, we've worked. So I'm biased. We've worked together, and I'm a big fan of yours. So before jumping into the learnings, as you said, from different geographies you had, different teams you worked in, different companies. I'd ask a more personal question about really juggling careers. You touched it a little bit, having both of you and your husband both have careers, growing careers, you had kids, living abroad, going to your country. Like, how have you thought through all this? I know many of us go through it or are going through it. So how did you manage this going through it? And any advice you can give us?
I think, like many of us, for all the inspiring career opportunities we have, the biggest job we have is as the biggest role we play is as a mom or a dad or as a partner and managing through life. But yeah, it definitely comes with challenge. But I think, first of all, I'm fortunate to have a spouse that's been very supportive all the way through our relationship together, before kids and after kids. So he works in the pharmaceutical industry as well. So to some degree, we understand each other's jobs as best we can. And so we know where the give and take might need to be for each other at various times in our career. With the kids, it is about flexibility. For me, I have the two boys are 8 and 10, and flexibility is key to me now to be able to do a good job in the way I know I can do a good job, but have the flexibility to be there for the kids as and when they might need it. But we also have the support network around us. We do have some childcare support when we need it, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Somebody did once say to my husband, John Bamford, I guess and a lot of people at Lilly would know him, but he and his wife were, big careers at Lilly. And he gave John and I advice out when we started to have kids in Indianapolis. And he said, at some point you both will think you can't do it, that one of you has to take a step back, or one of you has to stop working because it'll become too much. And at that moment, you must put the resource around you that helps you continue on, because you can, but you've got to give yourself a break and understand you can't do everything. And you might need to have somebody look after the kids on an evening or pick them up from school. And you might need to get cleaners, and you might need to do some of that support network, have that around you, but do it because you can both still achieve your ambition and your potential. You just have to not try and do it all. So we've really embraced that advice, I would say, and do kind of make sure that we're giving ourselves the support to help us achieve that. But it's an ongoing balance every day, every day.
You've led diverse teams, as you said, across the globe, in different cultures, different geographies, and you brought innovative medications to patients. Do you have a secret recipe for doing that successfully?
For doing launch or for managing diverse teams and geographies?
Yeah, leading high-performing teams.
I would probably, so one of my career highlights, I think, was when we launched Lartruvo in Europe. Now, Lartruvo ultimately was a treatment for soft tissue sarcoma that was approved conditionally on phase 2. And unfortunately, the phase 3 data didn't pan out. But at the time in phase 2, we thought we really have an innovative treatment here for patients with sarcoma who've had no innovation for 40 years. And we built such a cool, dynamic, energized team across the different countries in Europe: Germany, France, UK, Italy, and Spain. And I was part of the lead team for Europe, pulling that team together. I think the secret recipe is to all understand what you're trying to achieve together. So clarity of vision. Where are we going? What do we want to achieve? And does everyone understand that first and foremost? Secondly, giving everyone a voice on the team and a role on the team. So we had different personalities on the team, and some people brought different things, and giving everybody a role in that team to bring their best self and fundamentally move the team forward. So that was a key part of our dynamic, where we knew each other enough to know who brought what to the table. And thirdly, I think we had such fun. We laughed, we got together, we had some downtime together. We were launching in very, very quick timeline. We had like 9 months to get ready to launch. And often they say you need 3 years, and we didn't have that. So we knew we were going to have to work fast, and it was going to be manic, and it was going to be a lot of pressure. But actually, we got a lot of energy from that, and we made sure we're only going to do what's most important here. We're not going to do all the other stuff. We're going to focus on the fundamentals. We're going to do that well, and we're going to have each other's back and support each other through that journey. And so I think some of those things, just being human and having a bit of fun along the way, made a big, big difference. So some of my most fun times, I think, were in that team, even though we were under a lot of pressure to get a lot done in a short space of time. But that's some of, I think, what I would lean in on.
So let me double click on this, because I love it. You said clarity of vision, giving everyone a voice, and having fun as we go through it. How did you manage, if there was some tensions, to make sure that, because you're touching, I think, to the trust also within the team. Like you were all, you said everyone has the other's back. How did you build this as you were going through it, to make sure that it's a team that trusts one another to be able to deliver on, you know, the immense task that you guys had?
Well, I think we built trust because we helped each other. You know, we weren't, you know, Germany weren't on their own getting ready to launch. We were all getting ready to launch in Germany because they were the first market to go. And, you know, we all, Stefan was the brand leader at the time. You know, the rest of the team, whether you're in France or UK or Spain or the European team, we were all in it for Stefan and his team to get this right. So I think demonstrating that we were there to support and be part, it was as much our success, the German launch, as it was going to be anybody else's, was really important. Any tension, you know, there's obviously going to be tension when there's a lot to do in a short space of time. But I think it was about, you know, having those conversations if there was tension and not waiting and letting things fester. You know, having side conversations, but then, you know, being transparent and open and tackling them head on and not pretending everything is fine when it isn't. And then being able to move on and just being respectful for people. I think tension comes if people are suspicious of agendas, or, you know, people are in an environment where they're not honestly being authentic and genuine. But we were all just being who we were, good, bad, and ugly, bringing it to the table. We liked people for their good things as well as their, you know, eccentricities, and that was just what you need to do to build that trust. This is who I am. I'm not trying to hide anything, and we want to just get the job done and do it well for patients. So that was a kind of real big piece that we needed to focus in on.
I love it. This is super powerful. And you touched something, like my next question would be more about you and your leadership style. We talked a lot about it, both of us. And you talked here about authentic leadership, being who you are. So how do you define your leadership signature?
Yeah, a large part of my leadership signature is you know, I may be a leader, but I'm still like everyone else, I would say. I don't lean into our hierarchy. I want to support my team regardless of where they sit in the organization. Everyone deserves to be heard, and everyone's as important as everyone else, from the top to the bottom and back up again. So, you know, fairness, equality, listening, being empathetic to people's situation. But I also like to achieve. I like to achieve well. I have high standards. I want us to be successful as a team, because I think that's where, you know, a team gels most, when you're in good times and being successful and achieving good things together. But a big part of my leadership style is authenticity, I think, and also being direct and forthright. I mean, you know, again, no agenda. This is what I think. And this is why, and that sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong, and let's have a chat about it. And I love to debate and discuss and be open in how we manage through problems and build things together.
Did this evolve over time? Did your leadership evolve over time? And was it the same, for example, leading a global team in a large organization and then leading, in a biotech, smaller team?
I would say that I've always started out as being pretty up. I mean, that's just who I am. I think is more upfront, direct, and authentic. I am who I am is my kind of thing. I think as I became a leader midway through the last 23 years, at some point I started to doubt that. I started to say, well, as a leader, do I now have to put on a face? Do I now have to pretend that I'm something like, because this is the way a leader should behave? And then I think through the last number of years, I've come out the other side to say, no, I am who I am. I'm here because of who I am and what I can bring. I sometimes get it right and sometimes get it wrong. But that's okay. And I now, I think, have come to a realization that authenticity is actually key. So I would say I've evolved, but come back to the point that I just want to be who I am and be true to myself and to others and do good work with good people. And that's kind of, as I see myself moving into the next phase of my career, what's important to me.
Well, thanks for sharing this. And I would add also vulnerability. You're sharing vulnerably those things. And many of us, I think, ask questions, about ourselves as we go through it. And it's super powerful as you're sharing it with vulnerability and also authenticity. So thanks for that, Cathy. If you have one advice you would give yourself as you were starting your career in healthcare and pharma, what would be that advice?
I mean, I would still give myself advice over even 10 years ago, not even at the start. The learning is trust yourself. Trust yourself, have confidence and trust your instinct. That's what I would say to myself back then. I believe I have good instinct, but I sometimes lack confidence in that. And that's where mentors have been hugely helpful to me along the way in my career. I can't overemphasize that enough. They've helped me see beyond the limitations I may have placed on myself because I may have lacked that confidence or didn't trust my own gut instinct. So I would go back and say, just trust yourself, stay true to who you are, lean in, don't be afraid. I mean, I would say I'm not fearful and I will take on any challenge and what's the worst that can happen, but I'll give it my best. Sometimes fear along the way can stop us doing things that we know we can do. We just don't maybe have the confidence to kind of embrace that. And so I would say to my younger self, be confident, don't be afraid, go for it, and you'll learn something along the way, whether it works out or not. So that's what I would probably say to myself.
I'd love now to move to a section where I will give you a word and get your reaction to it.
Okay.
The first one is leadership.
Powerful.
What about diversity?
Essential.
I know you're passionate about it, so you can say more than one word for this one. I'd love to dig a little bit
not
deeper.
Ping pong. Yeah, diversity. Yeah, I mean, groupthink and all the same people have the same idea. It doesn't get you to a better place. And I think diversity is what makes for amazing conversations and fascinating ideas. I think it's challenging sometimes to create diverse teams because you have to embrace difference, and not everyone can embrace difference for various reasons. Either they don't know how to, or they're not in a place in their life career to be able to do so. So, it takes openness of mind to be able to embrace diversity, but it is essential because it brings different perspectives to the table, and ultimately gets us to a better place, I believe.
The third word is chief.
LinkedIn. Chief. Well, I've just joined as a founding member in the UK, an organization called Chief, which I'm super excited about, actually. So it's just a network of female leaders who from all industries, who get together and support each other in various professional and personal, I think, challenges. I'm starting out on this journey, so I have my first core session next week with a group of female leaders, none of which are in the pharma industry. So I'm excited because sometimes for me, I was in the one company for 19 years, and then I've been in another company for the last 3 years. So, I honestly feel like, my lens is kind of narrow and I want to broaden that. And I'm really excited to do so with a group of powerful female leaders and learn.
And there's still so much to be done, obviously, for women in leadership. I'd love like your view about it, anything you've seen that has moved for the better, and things that you would really focus on now within this organization or even in life as really a role model for several women. What would you do, or what would you focus on?
I think one of my, how do I say, acknowledgements or observations in the last number of years as I moved to a pretty senior position in the latter number of years. When we were at Lilly, there was a customer journey work done for female leaders within the organization. I don't know if you remember that, but when it got to VP or SVP level female leaders, that was the toughest phase of most female leaders' careers. Now, you might expect that because they're big roles, but you also would expect that should be exhilarating and exciting to be at those senior leader levels, but actually it was really, really challenging. And I felt that myself. I think you doubt yourself for some reason when you get to that level, because, who am I to be at this senior level? And you don't bring as much confidence again as you might see other male leaders have at that level for whatever reason. Plus, it's demanding on time and some of the responsibilities at home. With the best balance between partners and spouses possible, females still do tend to take slightly more of the burden of managing life at home, as well as then trying to manage a career. So I've observed that dynamic that I saw and observed in this journey work years ago, and now I lived it, I would say, in the last number of years. It's tough. My advice, my reflection now is it's okay. You can get overwhelmed in big roles, and that's normal. And actually, the biggest thing you can do for yourself in that moment is take a step back, just metaphorically, not necessarily leave, but take a step back and gain perspective, because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all sorted. There is a wealth of people around you to support you. You can talk it out with somebody in the company, in the industry, in your team, in your mentor network, or outside, such as a chief network, etc. There are places to go to bounce things around, but also many other people are experiencing the same thing. And sometimes it's lonely in a really senior leader role, and you feel you can't talk to anybody because you can't show that vulnerability anymore, because now you're really important and you have to have it together. But I think, no, you don't. Everyone's human, no matter how senior you are. And you need to be able to say that and find the right support so that you can do your best work, because you wouldn't be in the role if you couldn't do it. So that's the other thing. You can do it. You just sometimes need to know that you're not going to be perfect all the time. It's okay to say that. I hope that makes sense.
It does. And those are very powerful advices for sure. The last one is spread love in organizations.
My reaction to that isn't done enough. When I was preparing for this discussion, to some degree, I didn't prepare too much, but when I prepared for the discussion, it is interesting, the love in organizations, because some people would say love in work, but it is important. It's about kindness and empathy and making work a good place to be for people, because that's when people do their best work. So I think it's important to spread love in an appropriate way, and make people feel safe and appreciated and rewarded, and be transparent with people as well, and be open with what's going well and what's not going well. And that's spreading love too, by being honest with people. We've talked of late, sometimes just upfront, honest conversations about where people are at and where they're going in an organization is key to giving people the transparency they want to need. And I think more of it should happen.
Well, these are, again, true love right? Like this is the true love when you're transparent and you tell people where they stand. And those are incredibly powerful words, Cathy. Any final word of wisdom for leaders around the world?
Again, it comes back to, trust your instinct, know you're good enough. You are good enough. You just sometimes may need support, and it's okay to look for that support. And I think finally, you won't always enjoy what you do or have fun every day. If you're having fun in your role, relish it and build off that, because that's where the magic happens, I think, when teams are having fun, enjoying being with each other and doing good work. If you're not having fun on a regular basis or have stopped having fun, be brave and make a change. I think that has been my learning, I think, over the last number of years as well. Life's too short. We're all good at what we do and find our right spot. And I think if you're not in the right spot, then bring that leadership, talent, and ability and go apply it somewhere else in the organization or outside or whatever. But that would be, don't let the chance go by and stay still where you don't need to.
Thank you so much for this amazing informal chat and conversation. So many words of wisdom. Thanks for being with me, Cathy, today. Thank you so much.
No problem, Naji, and thank you for the opportunity. I've enjoyed the chat.
Thank you all for listening to Spread Love in Organizations podcast. Subscribe and connect with us on SpreadLoveIO.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Most importantly, spread love in your organizations and spread the word around you to inspire others and amplify this movement our world so desperately needs.